Okay,
Welcome back,
welcome
everyone.
back to Curious Endeavourances Book Club.
The
Or,
season finale.
or if
Woo!
you're just joining us now, Curious Endeavourances Book Club, where we read anything and everything. Season finale for 2014.
So let's take a moment to look back at where we've been. We started off with The Book Thief. Uh, it won the awards for Most Empathetic Portrayal of Death, the Anti-River Song Award for Death, the Tough Love Award for Rosa Huberman, and Father of the Year Award for Hans Huberman. We then went to Wicked, which won the appropriately named Dragon Snaking Award. If you didn't watch our video for the Winter Palace, make sure you quickly check that out before coming back. It'll make it much
Dragon
better.
Speaking is the best award.
Um, we also have, that doesn't seem right. That's an author award, so I'm going to skip over that one. The Most Generations Nannied Award for Nanny, the Alliteration Over Sense Award for Chistry. Yep, that's all for that one. I don't know if the other one was supposed to be for something else, but clearly that was just a copy-paste thing that makes no sense in that spot now. We then went to something completely different for How to Eat a Cupcake, Dazzling Cynical Wit Award for Annie, and All the Cupcakes Award for How to Eat a Cupcake by Caitlin, who then wanted all the cupcakes. Where are you? Right here. Unravel, the Safe Sex Award, because we always have to stop to put on a condom, and the 2 + 2 = 2 award. And if you haven't read it, clearly that makes no sense to you. If you have read it, it's brilliant. 2 + 2 does equal 2. The Light Between Oceans, the Worst Idea Ever Award for Tom and Isabel Sherborne. The And I Thought I Had Problems Award, again for those two, and the World's Most Dedicated Man Award for Tom Sherborne, because man, that guy would do anything for those women in his life. The lovable Darkest Night wins the Miss Feisty Pants Award for Danica. The Siegel Award for Maddox. Mine, 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 mine. The Bathroom Award for The Darkest Night, because the closest we get to having sex happens in the bathroom and we stop to brush our teeth. Cleanliness is important, especially after you know you've been snuggled up to each other in a room full of vomit. All the best
Proper
moments
hygiene
here.
is important when it comes to sex.
Then to something completely different, the little old lady who broke all the rules. The Where Is My Nail File Award for Christina. The Bronze Digger for Nurse Barbara, because she's not setting her standards quite high enough to be a gold digger, but she still tries. We then went to something a little more poetic with The Apprentice's Masterpiece. The only award that this one walked away with was The Power of Books. Not only is this book itself a rather powerful piece looking at a small time in history, but of course the book that they use within it is fairly magical as well. Takes us to Paper Towns. 1,200 pairs of eyes. And if you don't remember what that's about, you have to read that section, because I burst out laughing aloud in a very public place. All the Black Santas. All of them. Also, fittingly, accompanies the Best Reason Not to Bring a Girl Home award, as they try to come up with excuses to not make that the hookup spot. Creative car games, such as That Guy's a Gigolo and was it Metaphysical I Spy? Brilliant. Okay. Abraham Lincoln, Vampire Hunter. the Long Trek Award, because not only does he go a long ways, it actually feels like you are going a very long distance reading this one. See, I told you I had an Are We There Yet type of award. This was it. The Worst Way to Go Award. And if you don't remember what that was, check out the video again, because there's a very specific description of a random person who's not actually very important, but how they lovingly find the end of their days hung upside down, being sawed from the groin to the head. It's a lovely little description. And of course, Best Supporting Vampire for Henry Sturgis.
Oh, Henry.
He kind of beats all the sparkly vampires quite well. Our first piece of nonfiction, Sometimes the Magic Works, the I'm Not Alone Award for every writer who's read this. And the rest, I think, is all in author awards, but a really nice, quick, easy, and endearing read for anyone who's creative or knows creative people. And finally, back to where we are now, our December pick, The Winter Palace. So if you just watched that video, you're already familiar with these awards. The Stop and Go Award for the wonderful narration. The What's in a Name Award, because there's a lot of names. Praying is the New Dragon Snaking, and if you don't know what dragon snaking is, go watch the Wicked video, because that's where all the answers are. And the Are We There Yet, because 500 pages, and I'm still trying to figure out where we're going. That is our year in books. Some notable authors. We didn't get any knighthoods, unfortunately, this time around, but that doesn't mean that there aren't still some things worth mentioning. Marcus Zuzak, characters worth weeping for. As light as this book is, it's also very heartbreaking. It's a World War II book, right? So you know some people are going to have pretty rotten ends. And your heart is with every single one of them. So Marcus Zuzak wins the author award for that. We have one here for Gregory Maguire. Loose Ends Are My Friends Award. There's a lot of things that we needed to fill in some blanks with, but we never did get the satisfaction of that. And as far as we're aware, the sequel doesn't help either. So if you enjoy your loose ends, wicked. Thank you, Gregory Maguire, for that one. Where's Meg Donahue? Probably at the bottom here. Yes, here she is. Trained in the Art of Hallmark Made-for-TV Drama. This one fits the script. If there was a template, this one follows it word for word, and it's one of those nice, light, feel-good reads. So she knows her Hallmark. M.L. Stedman, Where's the Popcorn? How do I say this? Cinematographic Literature Award. Cinematographic. Basically, it's like watching a movie.
Literary cinematography.
Sorry?
I said literary cinematography.
There we go. Literary Cinematography Award. It's brilliantly written. It takes you right there into kind of an old world, well, not that old world, Australia, but quite brilliant. We're going to Melanie Little for The Weaver of Tales. Just for how she goes into all those different elements. We did just come from reading another piece of historical fiction, and you can kind of see where weaving your fictional character in with historical events, and multiple fictional characters in with historical events done well versus maybe a little shoddy. She did do very well with this one, getting us invested in these characters to the point where we actually wanted to be more invested with the characters because we didn't get enough of them for those snippets that we got. John Green, The Zinger King. Whether you like this story or not, there's definitely a few quips in there that will stay with you forever. So that's why there's a few literary awards for this guy, because, oh my God, burst out laughing forever. Seth Grahame-Smith, Fact Over Fiction. Another historical fiction, historical fantasy, and it's just really hard to keep track sometimes of where he ends and the complete and utter fantasy. I mean, clearly once the vampires come out, you know that you've crossed that line, but just really not having a feel. Probably because we're Canadian and don't know very much about Abraham Lincoln aside from him being the penny. So definitely. Lincoln's the penny. He is. So we don't even know that Lincoln's the penny because we're Canadian. There we go.
The slaves. Maybe that much. Maybe a shot.
And Terry Brooks, last but not least, 2 awards for him. The Keeping It Real Award, because he does. It feels like you're entering a conversation with him, and he's very honest about where he's been and what he's done. And it feels like a very accessible, open text, which also leads to the Velvet Curtain Award. Having a writer open that curtain and seeing them as they're struggling, as they have their hopes, as their attempts are completely foiled, as they write garbage and have to restart. So it's very endearing to be on that journey. For whatever reason, even though we had some really great reads, none of them got a full 5 out of 5 stars from us, so we don't have any new Knights for the 2014 season. That being said, doesn't mean that these authors can't astound us later on, perhaps even next season, with another book of theirs. Any reflections or comments from my co-hosts?
What I wanted to know is if anyone had either Curious Endeavourances or otherwise, best book, either most recommendable or most, I don't know, whatever. Just like a standout book of the year.
I have one, but I'm currently reading it, and I haven't finished it yet.
Well, okay, that or anything else.
Trying to think of what else I have read. My goodness.
Yeah, I'm looking
I feel like I would actually need to consult my list of books that I've read.
That's what I'm doing. I'm like straight on to Goodreads. Okay, what have I read?
This year.
I mean, I read The Christmas Carol recently, and that was my first time actually going through the original classic. So that one was really good.
I read it right after watching the movie, so of course, like the dialogue is the exact same, and just hearing like Alistair Sim in my head.
A lot of other books that I read outside of Curious Endeavourances were ones that I've been meaning to read, but weren't as wonderful as I had hoped that they would be. I feel like this year is like a year of threes. A lot of things.
There were a lot of threes. Yeah.
Like not even just Curious Endeavourances, but
I've got one that I can't believe didn't occur to me right away.
Okay, my one is probably the same as your one, but I do have another one. So you do your one because I think I know what it is.
The one would be The Art of Asking.
The Art of Asking, or How I Learned to Stop Worrying and Let People Help by Amanda Palmer.
Absolutely amazing. Yeah, definitely.
Also for me would be a highly recommend to read for anyone ever. Not just art creative people. What else? I have new authors I love too that I read this year. One would be Alona Andrews, who writes the Kate Daniels books. Or Mel Jean Brooke, who writes The Iron Duke, which is a very thick book, but I read it in like 2 sittings because it is smutty, but it's also just, it's like a steampunk urban fantasy, and it's just so good. But definitely The Art of Asking.
And I'm the only one among us who hasn't read it.
Well, you need to read it.
You need to read it.
Read us.
I was going to say one other one that was really quite entertaining. It didn't get 5 stars from me. It got 4, but it was a really entertaining read if you know some of the cultural quirks. And that's actually Crazy Rich Asians by Kevin Kwan. That one is quite entertaining if you have any experience with various like traditional Chinese families, and it's just, yeah, it's pretty entertaining.
Mm, I know one that I loved. I think I probably recommended it to both of you. The Storied Life of A.J. Thickery by Gabrielle Zevin.
I don't know if you recommended that one to me.
I think I meant to if I didn't. It was up for a Goodreads award.
I think you did be a Goodreads. I think there was a
It
recommendation.
didn't,
Oh, okay.
but
So I might just not have seen it.
it didn't win, but it was very, very good. Also about this guy who owns a bookstore. And it's all life stuff. No spoilers.
I'm going to highlight the one that I'm currently reading and haven't finished with the side note that things still could go horribly wrong. Because I haven't finished it yet. But I'm currently reading All the Light We Cannot See. And it's all the way over there, so I can't show it, unfortunately. I first saw that book, I think, when I was in chapters months ago. And I looked at the back and I thought, okay, that's interesting, but it's a bit of a heavy topic and I wasn't in the mood for a heavy book, so I didn't pick it up. Several times I went into the bookstore and saw it and went, and then put it back down. And then a couple weeks ago I was once again in a bookstore. I spent a lot of time in bookstores.
And nothing wrong with that.
And one of the employees saw that I was carrying around another piece of historical fiction and gushed about that particular one. And the location that I was at had sold out of the paperback copy, which is saying something since it's a Heather's pick, and it just, I believe it also won an award on Goodreads for the 2014. And so I was definitely intrigued. And then that same employee later approached me because she had found the very last paperback copy that they thought they had lost, and my brain went, okay, that's just too serendipitous to ignore. So I bought it and started reading it. And the thing that stands out the most in that book is the prose. It is seriously, I think, some of the most beautiful prose I've ever read. So it is currently changing my standards because it's just absolutely amazing.
I both love when books do that.
Pardon?
I love and hate when books change your standards because it makes it
right?
easier.
Yeah, there's definitely, yeah. It's one of those things where like, oh my god, it's almost too perfect. Which is not possible, but it's almost like, it's just like, wait, what? How is it this brilliant? I don't understand. Although I was told that the author took 10 years to write it, which might have something to do with that.
You would hope after 10 years.
So yeah, that is All the Light We Cannot See by Anthony Doerr, and it is about World War II. It focuses on two characters, and it's interesting because one of them is a German and one of them is a young French girl. And it's just, yeah, no, it's amazing. So, must highlight that, even though I'm not finished. So, once again, I'm not finished it. It could still go horribly wrong, but if nothing else, the prose is worth it. It's just that amazing.
All right. I've already added it to my to-read.
Little mini gush there.
Yes. All right. How did you do on your book challenges?
I don't set mine nearly as high as you folks, because me just getting to do a book club novel a month is kind of a big feat for me. Yeah, my work kills my brain. So reading for pleasure's definitely dropped a lot in the past couple of years. But I wanted to read 30, and I've read over 30, so that means I'm reading more than 2 books a month, which is pretty good for me, I think.
I initially had set my goal to 100, and I'm one of those terrible people that went in and changed that goal after the fact of having set it. I will have to make a vow to myself not to do that next year. But this year I had some really funky circumstances that came up, and there were a few months where I barely read at all. And it was not a great scene for that while. So instead of the goal of reading 100 books, I dropped it to 1 book a week, which is 52 books, obviously. And I did surpass that. So I think I hit 61 or 62 so far.
That's crazy.
So not as many as I hoped to read, but not terrible.
My goal is still 100. I've read 83.
You gotta break out the picture books.
I could probably finish A Christmas Carol before then. And maybe something else. The thing is, a lot of the books that I'm currently reading, I'm around halfway done. But there's a reason I stopped reading them.
They may end up on the did not finish pile.
Yeah, so with 3 days to go, it's kind of... What about your book goals for next year? Have you thought about those?
Actually, no.
Considering my lifestyle is probably going to be exactly the same, and me trying to read 2 books a month is, I think, as ambitious as I can possibly get. I mean, I've got my summers to try to put some stuff in, but that's also my time where I can actually sit down and write seriously. So
yeah,
I don't have as much spare time as you girls do.
I don't know about spare time.
I do currently have lots of spare time. That was not the case for the majority of this past year, though. I think goal-wise, I don't know. I'm half tempted to do the 52 books again, the 1 book a week. But since I passed that, that feels kind of low. I'm not sure.
Go for...
I'll just hit like 75 or something.
I was going to say, I usually feel like you should go for like either what you managed or like
a little bit more.
A little higher.
Yeah, 75 might be a happy medium. Give me a couple of years and maybe I'll get up to the 100.
I'm going to go for 100 because if I just haven't had much time to read in the last couple of months, so I feel like I could have made it. I mean, as long as you accept the fact that at least a dozen of those are manga.
Well, I was going to say, I actually, of the books I read this year, the vast majority of them were read in the first 4 months of the year.
Yeah, most of mine are.
Like the first 40 were read within the first 4 months of the year. So had I stayed on track, had I not had things go a little bit sideways, I could have easily probably completed that 100 book goal. But I don't know. Maybe I'll be crazy and I'll go for 100 again. We'll see.
Do it. No harm if you don't. It's just a reading goal.
That's true.
But we're all very competitive.
I won!
No. We're all still on the hook for our 3-month writing challenge, and I'll admit I haven't done a word all December, so it's going to be interesting. I might have a cone of shame video for February.
Well, I am both grateful and angry that you reminded me of that.
You may be joining me on my cone of shame video.
No, I will not. I refuse. I will figure. Oh, shoot. My contract is until March. That looks okay. Ooh,
Bless you.
Yeah, I haven't touched mine either, except for to chop out all the bits that I can't use.
I haven't even gone that far yet. I haven't touched it at all.
I haven't either. So this is going to be interesting.
I did that as soon as I posted my winning word count. I was like, okay, now take out this, this, and this.
Delete, 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 delete.
Now it's only half of what I wrote. And even that's not usable.
I think that's where I'm going to be too.
Yeah. Anything else?
Well, let's have some discussion among the 3 of us about the poll I put up. So, as I mentioned, I gathered some of the awards that we gave out last year that we didn't have any we didn't have any nominations for it this time around, so I just wanted to see what we could come up with. I mean, these awards are created as those moments pop up. So for some of these, if they didn't pop up on their own, probably forcing the issue a little bit, but still, I picked only the feel-good ones. Sometimes we have rather cynical or negative ones that come up as books disappoint or dissatisfy us in certain ways. But I tried to keep it positive and just grabbed a few of the nice ones that seemed like they could match over pretty well. Thus, we don't see a repeat of the frivolous cake, because that one might be a bit harder to throw in there. There's really only one frivolous cake.
There's only one frivolous cake.
So, most satisfying ending. That was the first one. Now, which...
I was gonna say, what won that originally?
That's what I'm just gonna... I had it up and then I closed it. Of course I did. So last year, the most satisfying... Oh, of course, Titus Grown, because it starts with our one very minor character going through his daily routine, and then it ends back with him even making the comment of, you've probably forgotten about him, or he, like, all this is going on and everyone's forgotten about him, and you feel so bad. He's like, I did forget about him. He's been in that room for years. So it just did seem perfect that it all came round again. And so just seeing what the closest thing we could have to a satisfying ending with this year's pick. So I know you ladies did fill out the poll, but let's chat about what you answered with.
I put the book thief because I realized that I really was dissatisfied with a lot of endings as I looked through the list.
I had the exact same reaction. As I was looking through the list, I was like, wait, no, that one, but the ending, no, not that one, no.
I didn't like where the book thief, though, was...
Yeah.
Yeah.
But it was so tragic. I mean, they tell you everyone's going to die, and then you see them all die, and you're like, oh.
It's tragic, but it's still, for me, a very large degree of the satisfaction of an ending is how fitting it is.
Yeah.
I mean, if the book is dealing with a really serious subject matter from which a lot of characters really can't survive, if the ending is then like all like wrapped up in a bow and like, oh, but everything was okay, and somehow they magically, it ruins it, right?
No, I'm just saying, I don't care if it's tragic, if that's the kind of book it was. It was about World War II.
Yeah. So for me, it was really satisfying because it really did nicely wrap things up, and there was, a little glimmer of happiness in there, which was great. So, yeah, no. I found that ending very, very fitting and very, very satisfying.
I threw little old lady in there, and I remember when we were discussing the book, it wasn't necessarily that we liked it. Like, it worked, but I mean, there were other things about the narration that didn't, but just how it kept, and then coincidentally this happened, and then coincidentally this happened, and then coincidentally it fell back to this person, so they ended up getting pretty much what they wanted by the end, and it all came round full circle again. So going with that full circle approach, I went to Little Old Lady, and you're right, going through it, I mean, clearly there's a reason why these awards didn't naturally fall out, because there wasn't anything where we're like, yes, this is the perfect ending. We are trying to fit some from square pegs into round holes here, but just that feel of it coming back.
Good movie.
It's a good movie. I love The Holiday. Jasper's a douche.
Yeah, that's all I can think now. Very square peg, very
round hole. Yes.
Gumption.
Such a sweet movie. Mm-hmm. My husband watched that, and Love Actually for the first time. He's never seen it.
Really?
Yeah. We just chick flicked all the Christmas specials. It was
I totally watched both of those movies 2 days ago.
We normally would at my parents', but of course we don't have them here.
Ah.
And I didn't want to go hunting for DVDs that'll play on our Canadian system because it gets really annoying checking the back cover for the little region.
So I like about the UK, most of their stuff goes for the American play. So I stop asking if it'll play on Canadian things because then they get really confused. They're like, well, I don't know, but it plays in the American stuff. And I'm like, okay, that's fine then.
And it does.
If it plays on our continent, we're fine.
You need to know what zone you're in and what zone you need it to play in.
Yeah.
Most Blu-rays will play in everything,
Nice.
so that helps. But anyway,
So it does seem that Book Thief is the more popular answer for the most satisfying ending based on poll results. So we will give the award to that one. Sorry?
I feel like it's going to be very split. Either like just two of us need to agree or we're all going to be like...
Well, I'm not looking for a consensus here.
Yeah.
We're not an ideal democracy. All right. The most recommendable book, that one went to Ocean at the End of the Lane last year because we all felt that it wasn't something that it would really depend on the person for you to recommend. It was if you like that person, you know they want to read, this is the book you gotta read.
Yeah.
So did we have anything that was as close, again, knowing that nothing came up naturally necessarily for it, but is there anything that popped up that you thought would be the most recommendable for you?
Having to pick, I picked The Book Thief just because it was such a good book, basically. But comparing it to Ocean at the End of the Lane, I didn't feel like there was anything we read that I would recommend to everybody.
Which makes sense because there was a knighthood that came out of Ocean at the End of the Lane, and again, this whole season, there wasn't anything that truly astounded us.
I feel like a lot of people I know would like The Book Thief because it was just such a good book. And Death was so interesting. I'm biased, so.
Yeah, no, I definitely agree. There wasn't anything that was quite so blanket, recommended to everybody. I also picked The Book Thief, though, personally, because I feel like, A, it was an amazing book, and B, it's a book on subject matter that I find a terrifying number of people don't seem to know much about. So I have the urge to be like, this is an approachable way for them to kind of get a snapshot and get a picture and maybe a little bit of understanding. So partially because of the historical element of it, I recommend it because of that.
I'll throw in an interesting just story around.
Yeah.
See, I feel selfish now because I'd say sometimes the magic works so that people can understand me. This is how my brain works. This is who I am.
It was between the two, but I just figured.
Yeah. No, I agree.
But I felt like I could recommend The Book Thief to more people. Sometimes the magic works would be more helpful information-wise for me. I feel like there are more people I could recommend The Book Thief to who would probably finish it. Like, as much as I love Sometimes the Magic Works and think that everyone should read it and finish it, there are some people I know who would be like, I don't write, this is about writing.
I feel like, for me, The Book Thief is, like, I picked that because I would recommend it literally to everybody. Sometimes the Magic Works, I would recommend to my circle of people.
Yeah.
Would be like, yeah, like I would recommend it to people who didn't as Ashley pointed out, people who don't understand my head. I'd be like, okay, here you go. Like, this is how I work.
Based on poll results, Book Thief is in the lead, so most recommendable book for this season is Book Thief. Now, we have a slightly unusual Can You Adopt Me Please award, which initially went also to Ocean at the End of the Lane for the Hempstocks, that little group of friendly witches who lived in the country. So, given the choice of any character, not necessarily the main character or main family in any of the books, is there any one or group of people in any of our books that you think you would like to be adopted by?
I don't want to answer this question.
I had two. There are two books. It's funny because they're for very different reasons. There is the Book Thief once again, which is the one that I didn't actually end up picking in the poll, because like what was their last name? The Hubermans, however you say it. Yeah. Hans in particular, like he was just so amazing. So as a stepfather, like that one for me was like, whoa, yes, absolutely, like that would be perfect. But in the book, the circumstances were so terrible that it's like, no.
And it's funny. It's funny that you say that, particularly Hans, because Rosa is still like a bit intimidating and petrifying.
But Hans would be great.
I was gonna say she means well and she's an incredible person as well, but just knowing the kind of person I am, I would find her terrifying.
Yeah, I just find that funny because we did actually have a number of like really awesome father type people, right? So we had Tom Sherborne, we had Hans Huberman, and they are really strong male characters that would be so doting and wonderful to have, but not their partners so much, which I find kind of interesting.
Yeah, that is actually
like the best single fathers ever, if they were single fathers. But they're not. Yeah.
You know, the one I ultimately ended up picking though actually is How to Eat a Cupcake, and this one for materialistic and
cupcake.
You know.
Like, living a life of lavishness and luxury.
Yeah, living a life of luxury with like a cupcakery. Yes, please.
The one I ultimately chose would also give me a life of luxury while living in a house full of demons.
You just have to decide how incestuous you'd really want to be in that situation. Do you want to be adopted, or do you just want to be a kept woman?
Yes. Good question.
You want to be a kept woman. That's the answer.
I'm an adult. Technically, they can't adopt me. They can just take me in. It's fine.
Caitlin has completely reinterpreted the question.
I told you, when it comes to logic, my husband's like, you do not think logically. I'm like, it makes sense to me. This is my logic. The way I understand adopt means that.
My thought process went a lot the same way as Julianne. Hans was a little more reasonable, yeah. Hans was an amazing father figure. As I mentioned, Tom Sherborne was also an amazing father figure. I agree with that moment of, but which situation would I actually want to live in? And also thinking, how to eat a cupcake? Well, not necessarily that I like the parents, but at least it's a life of luxury that's not like the parents from Unravel, which would be horrifying. So that seemed like the least frightening of situations to be in, unless I just went with Sometimes the Magic Works and just be like, yeah, let's just live with Terry Brooks.
Oh.
That's like a good idea.
I didn't even think of that. My brain was just like nonfiction.
So we have no lead books. Every answer was completely different, so we will bypass the "Can you adopt me, please?" as we've all going very different ways. This next award was adjusted because it's actually an award from, I believe it was Lexicon. I'm just going to double check that. Yeah. It's actually originally the Most Lovable Badass Award for Tom Elliott from Lexicon. But I thought Most Lovable Badass would really cut down our options here. So I just said Most Lovable Character. Whether they were badass or not, but which were the ones that you absolutely loved. Because I think if we were saying Most Lovable Badass, it would be just Henry Sturgis, and we'd all go from there.
Yeah.
So to see if Henry Sturgis would actually make it out to the end, just Most Lovable Character. So who did you girls find to be your most lovable character?
I still don't want to answer your questions.
The character Caitlin was love to love. Okay.
Can I pick lovable in a different direction?
Just like adopt, apparently, which is very open-ended. Julianne?
I once again went with the book thief, and with Hans Humberman, because he was just such a caring character. Like I don't know, just the dedication that he showed to Liesel was just, it made him such a lovable character. So the book thief won.
I dug into the back shelves of our past reading season. Do you remember Turtle Heart? This little roaming person. And everyone loved him. The mama loved him. The dad loved him.
You took it very literally, didn't you?
Well, he was a lovable character. And it was quite sad. He passed, and everyone was so sad. They're like, oh, Turtle Heart. I'm like, oh. Everyone does love Turtle Heart. And he was so sweet. Very simple, but very sweet. So
They all love Turtle Heart the way I interpreted the question.
So once again, every answer for the lovable character was all over the place, which is rather fitting because, I mean, we read a lot of books with a lot of really memorable characters. Mm-hmm. And finally, the best pick. A little trickier because, again, we didn't have a full everyone picked 5 stars. The best picked last year, of course, was Titus Grown, just because it was entertaining. It was pure poetry. I know I had to reread entire pages right after I'd read them, not because I had no idea what was going on, but it was just so beautifully worded. I had to go through it and read it aloud to myself just to hear the words. It was brilliant. Don't think we had quite the same reaction to the books this season, but what's the closest one that you think to merit the best read for 2014 out of our season?
I said Sometimes the Magic Works. Because it was between that and the Book Thief. But I felt personally, as much as I love the Book Thief, and it was important historically to get, as Julianne said earlier, it would be good for people to read. Sometimes the Magic Works spoke more to me as a writer and Terry Brooks fan.
Yeah, I'm starting to feel kind of like a parrot, but I picked the Book Thief. Yeah, no, I definitely, that one. It's funny because I did feel like this year we did hit, like we had, I think, Caitlin, it was you who mentioned, like we had a lot of 3-star reads this particular year. And I don't know whether it was just that Book Thief was beginning of the year and it just started off strong for me or what it was, but for some reason that one still stands out in all of them.
It was a good book.
Mm-hmm.
Made me cry. And not in that it was sad, but in the same way that reading Ocean at the End of the Lane and then somewhere something clicked and just feel that, I don't know, my whole body responded to just being connected, I think, to what I was reading. So as soon as I closed the book, again, it's not sad, doesn't end on anything that's like necessarily completely profound, but just something within myself kind of rebooted, and that was my little message that no, something's changed now. So Sometimes the Magic Works gets my vote for that because it had that full movement before me. And sorry, Julianne, but most of the results that came in was for Sometimes the Magic Works.
That's totally fine by me because that would be the runner-up for me. So.
And no one has yet to offer any other award suggestions, things that they wanted. That being said, if you ever want to go back, this is watchers and viewers and readers, if you ever do think of something and you want to continue the discussion with any one of these books, these forums are going to stay up on our Goodreads page. They just get a little buried, but if you go into discussions, you can dig them all up.
Oh, yeah.
Of course, we're restarting for the 2015 year, and if at any point you do want to offer up some nominations for awards, you do not necessarily have to be a reoccurring member to make this happen. It's an open group. You just click in, leave your feedback, and especially if you can put it in before we go live, we can always bring your comments forward for the actual hangout. If you are interested in being a part of the live hangout, you can go on screen with us, just contact one of us and we'll chat about the details to make that happen. You could also be live tweeting or live chatting alongside us if you don't feel comfortable actually going live in front of everyone, and we can try to read those comments and integrate them as we go. If you're interested in promoting one of your favorite books or a book that you've been wanting to read, you can drop that into the comments section in the forums. Thing is, no guarantee that we're going to be able to fit that in, but we can at least consider it and give it a try. The best way to get your picks in, so you have a bit more of a hand in the books we read, is to start coming in and being a full-time member. So far, our rule is that if you have to go through a full round, so that means you've been actively participating, reading, following along, engaging in the discussions for the full pick of both myself, Julianne, and Caitlin. So 3 different sessions. If you've gone through that, then we should be open to letting you have your pick in. And as long as you're participating consistently, we could always make you part of the rotation. So ideally, it won't just always be the 3 of us. We're always looking for more people to be involved. We love seeing those comments and apologize profusely if you're someone who does tweet with us or leave comments on YouTube or Google+. And sometimes, as much as we try to have all the tabs open, we can't always check them as consistently as we'd like. So don't lose heart. We do love reading the comments and knowing that other people are watching and engaging in book talk with us. So if you want a New Year's resolution for 2015, become more curious and talk books with us. We'd love to have more members.
Read all the things.
As we do. As you can tell by our list of reads for this season. So that's all that I've got. That was my poll done. That was our awards. We'll see you for next season. Oh, I'm going to drop all the things. I'm kicking it off hosting with the Rosie Project. So get your copy, do some reading, and we'll see you at the end of January.
January 25th.
25th.
So we'll see you on the 25th. Happy reading.
Happy reading. And Happy New Year.
Happy New Year. Happy new Curious season.
Yay.